Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm sure you know who I am. My name's Rebecca. I am an ET contactee. I'm a galactic channeler, a psychic medium, and I work in the Akashic Records. And my job is to help you along your spiritual path. And it truly, truly is such a humbling honor to be able to do the work that I do. And I just want each and every one of you to know how grateful I am that you're here and that you trust in me and have given me your energy and your attention. It's not something that I like take lightly, so I appreciate it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna screen share. I have a little bit of a slide presentation to go along with what we're doing. It's not going to be for the whole time. Um, and we will go from there. So let me just pop this up. So can everybody see that okay? Give me like a
Yes.
thumbs up.
Yep. Pretty good.
Okay, awesome. So just while I'm presenting, if you guys wouldn't mind muting yourselves just because of the feedback that I get. So if for some reason you are unmuted, if you wouldn't mind just muting yourselves. Also,
Um, I don't
hello.
know how to do that, so
Oh, I can probably do that for you. Hang on
thank you.
1 second. All right. Let's see if everyone else is muted. Okay, so you are welcome to have your camera on. You're welcome to have your camera off. Please know that this workshop will be for purchase for those who were not able to attend. If you are attending today and would like a copy of the slides, just send me an email and I will send them to you. Okay. Also, if you do not want your video on someone else's computer when they go and purchase this later on, then please turn your video off. Otherwise, having your video on is giving me consent to sell this workshop after the fact. Okay. I would love to see your faces though, so I would encourage you to keep your camera on if you feel comfortable. All right. So this is the first time I'm doing this workshop in particular. So I'm very excited about it. It was created through popular demand. The probably number one question I get on my social media pages is, how do I connect with my guides? How do I connect with my galactic family? I want to hear them. I want to connect with them. And so I decided to make something accessible beyond just working with me one-on-one. And so I really have put a lot of time and thought into this process that I'm going to present to you guys today. So I really hope that you get something out of it. Um, so what will this workshop cover? So first, we're going to talk about who are your guides and who can your guides be. We're going to talk about setting intentions and the importance of intention setting. Why a clear channel is important. A huge part of this workshop is going to be creating the channel that you are going to need in order to connect to your spirit guides and to your galactic family. We're also going to talk about when to do this, what limits you from being able to connect. We're going to talk about how exactly to call your guides forward. I'm going to do a guided meditation after the majority of the slides. I'm going to try not to keep them up for too long because I know that we don't love like looking at, I don't personally love like looking at words. I like interactive, more interactive type stuff. But I'm going to do a guided meditation where I'm going to bring you through the process that we're going to talk about. And then the intention behind the guided meditation will be to connect you with your guides in order for you to experience their energy. And that's a really good sort of starting off place. And then we're going to have hopefully lots of time for questions. Okay. I'm going to ask that you pop your questions in the chat at the question time because it really throws off my ADHD when I'm reading questions during a presentation. So just hang on to them until we get to that point. Okay, so who are your spirit guides? So for some of you, this is going to be like review. And for others, maybe this is the first time you've been to anything like this. So first you have your earth guides, and these guides are usually two or three individual sets of consciousness, beings, we could call them, who are with you from before you incarnate. They are involved in the planning process for the lifetime that you are in, and then they see you through, that in utero time, that transition from spirit to physicality, and then they are with you from birth and all the way to now, right? These guides are the guys that I go to when I'm really struggling with 3D human stuff because they just get me. They've been with me. They know all of my fears, all of my shadows, all of my motivations, my goals, my dreams. They know everything. They are the perfect group to go to for this kind of thing. Usually there's a divine masculine and a divine feminine, but that's not always the case. There is no cookie cutter design for this. Then we have your galactic guides and your galactic family. So hang on one second. This is interesting. Ah, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm trying to admit people as I'm doing this. So just bear with me. All right, here we go. Going back to it. Oh my goodness, guys, bear with me. I apologize. Okay. So your galactic guides are your galactic family. So this could be um physically incarnated beings, depending on what dimension they're in, right? So the lower dimensional beings, so five, six, seventh dimension, are going to have physicality. They're going to have physical bodies. They could potentially be family members who you directly incarnated with in past galactic lifetimes. It could also be higher dimensional galactic family or galactic guides. So, for example, if you have Pleiadian past life energy that you've brought forward, it could be that the ninth dimensional Pleiadians want to support you. You may not have had direct physical incarnations with them or lifetimes with them, but they don't look at things in such a separated way. If you have that energetic resonance, they are there and they want to support you. They can feel almost like there's a duty there in a sense that they want to fulfill. Um, any of the guides that are the galactic guides that are benevolent, you can call any of these guys forward, and they will, through direct experience, I'm telling you, they will come forward and work with you and support you. It doesn't matter if you're an Arcturian starseed and you call forward Pleiadian energy. They will support you if they are of the light. So just because you're one thing and they're another thing, it doesn't mean that we can't work together. We only see that separation from the third density. They don't look at it like that. They look at all of us as family. Then you have your ancestral guide. So these are your loved ones who may have passed, who have crossed over from this lifetime, who you knew. But a lot of the time, what I see, because I do a lot of mediumship as well in my individual sessions, is these are guides from five, six, seven, even more generations ago who are so directly connected to you on the soul level. And so a lot of times people will come into sessions and I'll go, "Oh, well, your great grandmother's coming through and she has a message for you. She's one of your ancestral guides." And they'll go, "Oh, well, I didn't know her." And it doesn't matter. Just because you didn't know her in this lifetime or them in this lifetime doesn't mean that you aren't deeply, deeply connected on the soul level. Um, the other thing that I find really often, and this is this is kind of a funny thing, is people who you had not so positive relationships with tend to be your guides on the other side. So oftentimes they'll go, oh, your dad's coming in or your grandpa's coming in, and they'll go, oh, I don't know, we had a horrible relationship. And it's, challenging. I've had to learn over the years how to explain that the stuff that happens here is so minor in comparison to the love that exists within that soul relationship. And oftentimes there's karma as well. So the karma will come through, and they want to support you from the other side because maybe they weren't so good to you when they were here. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that I guess basically the point is to stay open-minded about who your guides are because our limiting beliefs can prevent us from connecting with these very supportive energies. Does that make sense? I'm like, does that make sense in my head? Yes, that makes sense. Then we have the ascended masters. So these are beings like Yeshua, Jesus, Buddha, Mary, right? Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary. Um, these are souls who have ascended beyond the need for physicality, for physical incarnation. Um, at one point, they did have physical incarnations, but this is the process as we separate from source, or as we are born from source, if you want to look at it that way, into our individual souls, we descend down dimensionally and then ascend back up through the dimensions back to source. That's the natural evolution of the soul. So, just to put this into a little bit of perspective, right now, we're on the ascend, right? We're on the ascent back up. We're moving from the third density to the fifth density. So we've already been through, thank God, right? The descension that we've all gone through. So all the darkness, all the pain, all the chaos, the majority of that, the bulk of that is behind us. Thank God, right? I feel like we can all relate on that. And so, another thing that I always like to mention too when I'm talking about that soul evolution of like descension and ascension is that the very, very dark beings like the reptilians, the Zeta Reticuli, Greys, the Archon, any of these beings, they are simply on the descension side of their soul's evolution. They all come from the same place. We all come from the same place, which is source, which is spirit, which is that universal consciousness, God. Um, they have just chosen a path that is much darker and is going to take them a lot longer to move back up that ascension path. But I assure you that they are all on that same soul evolutionary cycle that we are. They're just at a very different place. Then we have the angelics. So we have, the archangels, the angels. I think we're all very familiar, with them, with Archangel Michael. Um, these guys typically do not physically incarnate ever. They kind of play a different role than the soul that decides to go through that evolution of descension and ascension. Um, their role is to kind of be the speakers of God, the speakers of source, and support in those ways. The dragons are the same. They feel energetically, if we think about it as like a hierarchy, they're on the same level as the angelics. They're very, very ancient. There are dragons who have physically incarnated, right, and gone through that sort of descension, ascension cycle. There are others who just wanted to exist in light. So they're a little bit different than souls like ours, just as far as like what they chose to experience. And then, of course, we can connect directly with God. And this is not something I guess I realized until probably about 5 years ago, when I really started engaging in a regular prayer practice. And when I say prayer, I'm not like, our Father who art in heaven, although the Lord's Prayer I think is a very beautiful prayer. I'm not religious. It's talking to spirit is really what I mean by prayer. And I remember probably 3 years ago, I was in the car. I do a lot of praying, I guess, in the car. And I was connecting with the Pleiadians, and the Pleiadians have a very unique energy. I knew it was them. And I can't remember exactly what it is that I was asking for guidance on, but I felt this very divine masculine energy come in, and I just intuitively knew it was God. And I literally out loud, I'm in my car by myself, and I was like, God? Like almost like this like starstruck kind of fangirl like energy where I'm like, oh my gosh, like do I look okay? Like, like I can't believe it's God. That didn't last very long. I realized like I felt that love. It was so deep, so intense. And from that point on, I consciously called forward that energy because it's very powerful. You can also call forward the Sophia energy, which is the divine feminine, sort of equal to that divine masculine God energy. Um, there are more than just these energies that we can call forward to work with, to ask for guidance from, but these are like the main ones. I tried to cover kind of like the main ones. All right, so setting intentions. So, why is it important to set intentions? The thing is that we don't recognize as humans, and this is by design, by the design of the society, the false matrix that we live in, that we are master creators. And the way that we create is through intention. Okay. Now, what has happened on our planet is that because we are not aware of our creative ability and our creative potential, we're waking up to that now, but we're not as a collective really aware of that. It's not something that's mainstream knowledge. We typically create from the subconscious mind. And this is why we experience the pain, the suffering, that feedback loop of karma, and all of those things, is because there's a core belief system in the subconscious that is dictating what our reality looks like. Anything that we see, feel, hear, do, experience, we are creating. On the individual level, we are creating that reality. So, how are we having this experience now together? We collectively agreed on the soul level, right, on the higher self level, to have this shared experience, but there has to be that individual agreement. Okay, so you're the creator of your own reality. If I say nothing that's not going to serve my best and highest good can pass through my field, then nothing can pass. Period. That is how it works. And the reason that I mention this is because there's so many people that I work with who are like, I don't know if it's working. I don't know if it did anything. When we're setting intentions, when we're taking care of our energy, when we're trying to clear our fields and call forward higher guidance. And the thing is, if you believe that there is a possibility that it's not working, then you're creating a possibility for it not to work because that's how we create the reality that we exist in. Is that all registering? Does this all make sense to you guys? Okay, I know it's a little convoluted, a little abstract. It's not something that we talk about every day, right? And so a lot of these concepts are really new for a lot of us. So creating intention is so important. If I say to myself, I don't want low vibrational energy in my field, not only do I prevent that non-physical energy from coming into my field, but that also trickles out into the relationships that I have. I'm saying that low vibrational energy can't come into my life, right? It'll trickle out into the types of experiences I have. I'm going to have higher vibrational experiences because I'm setting the intention that low vibrational energy is not allowed to come through. Right. Now, I always, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, I always sort of preface any of that intention setting with if it will serve my best and highest good. Now, the reason I do that is because there might be an experience that's low vibrational that is going to be a massive learning opportunity for me. And I don't want to block that out. I don't want to say, no, I don't want to have that because what I'm basically doing is I'm saying I don't want to grow anymore. And that's certainly not why we're here. We're here to grow. So asking yourself, what do you want to receive? Being really clear when you sit down and want to connect. What do you want to receive? We're going to talk about being specific versus being general later with intention setting. Who do you want to connect with? Is it all the guides? Is it a particular group of guides? Is it one ancestor, a loved one who's crossed over? And then, of course, the most important thing with any energy work is using your discernment. So, if you guys follow me on social media, you know how big I am and the Galactics are on discernment and how important it is, especially now as the collective is awakening. Those of us who are newly awakened and don't have a developed discernment are very easy targets for dark energy because we can't tell the difference. And so it's important to really lean into your discernment. And if something doesn't feel right to you, let it go. It's not for you at that time. We'll talk more about discernment as we move forward. Okay, so why is it important to have a clear channel? Um, so I like to call this energy hygiene. I've talked to many of you guys on here about this before. I believe this is something we should be teaching our preschoolers. We teach our children how to brush their teeth, how to take a shower, how to, they potty train and all of these things, and that they need to do this every day, twice a day. The thing that we, again, by design, by the society that we live in, we don't pay any attention to our energy. And in my opinion, our energetic hygiene is more important than our physical hygiene. I would rather see you energetically clear and needing a shower than being super clean and having crap energy. And it's simply because you can always deal with the physical stuff later, right? The energy is going to directly impact every moment of your reality. It's important to bring in what is going to support you and what is your natural baseline energy. Many of us, as star seeds, as light workers, as awakened humans, are extremely empathic. And being an empath isn't just feeling what other people are feeling, it is literally absorbing their energy. And if we don't work to shower that energy off at the end of the day, it is just going to pile up until we are so weighed down with the energy of others, we develop mental health issues. We develop anxiety. We develop depression. All of these things are directly related to our energy fields and the fact that we are not taking care of them. If we don't have a clear channel, we are not going to be able to hear higher guidance. And again, this is by design. The society that we live in does not want us connecting to that higher guidance. It wants us to stay trapped. It wants us to stay uninformed and unaware of our potential as creative beings of light. So, bringing yourself back to baseline. Have you ever walked into a room? I feel like we've all probably experienced this, and like no one's saying anything, but like something heavy just went down, like a fight, or like you can cut the energy, right? That's you feeling and absorbing that energy and going, this is now mine. You are consciously because you haven't set any intention around shielding yourself from it, you are consciously saying it's allowed to come into my field and I'm just going to carry it, right? That doesn't mean that you can't be supportive of other human beings. Certainly, that's a big reason why we're all here, to be of service to each other. But I don't want your stuff. I don't want to go to bed with your stuff. I don't want to walk around with your stuff. Your stuff is your stuff. My stuff is my stuff. So when I do my one-on-one sessions during the week, one of the things that I do between each session, and sometimes I do it while you're still on, sometimes I'll do it when we're off. And it's basically what I say is I clear cut and dissolve all energetic cords between myself and whatever the person's name is. What's their energy returns to them now, what's my energy returns to me now. I don't want to move on with my day with your density. I've got my own. I don't need it. And think about it as layers of clothing, okay? And then you've got so much clothing on that then you start piling blankets on and you start putting hats on and earmuffs and all different kinds of things. And then it's like, how can you clearly communicate with all of that stuff on? There's just too much stuff in the way. You got to take that stuff off so you can have that nice, clear channel to your guides, to your higher self. So understanding what doesn't belong to you and what does belong to you. So I will walk around, I'm energetically ridiculously sensitive, as I'm sure you can imagine, and I will feel someone's anxiety as though it is my own anxiety. It's like I will wake up and I'll feel the anxiety of an individual or of the collective. I feel the collective energy a lot. I'm sure many of you guys have experienced that. Um, and I will have to ask myself, is this mine? And I will literally have to think about it and lean into the energy and figure out, okay, if this is not mine, then I need to release it, right? And if I'm not sure, the great thing is that you can just go, if it's not mine, it goes. And then you know that everything that you've released didn't belong to you. And then you're left with just your energy. And then you can move forward with a nice, clear, solid baseline from there. We talked about what isn't supporting you, what is attempting to block you. So, dark energy. I don't love to spend a lot of time on this because I find that people get into a lot of fear over this. But like I said before, dark energy is very, very active right now because we're waking up, right? We're waking up individually and we're waking up as a collective, and it's taking advantage of those who haven't developed their discernment. We cannot trust everything that comes through to us. It is very, very important to use our discernment, and we're not always going to have it right away. And if you're not sure, let it go. Know that if it is meant for you, it will come back. So, cut that cord and go, nope, not for me. If that's supposed to come back to me, it's going to come back to me. And when it comes back to me, I'm going to know that it's for me. That's how energy works. That's how the universe works. Okay, so now we're going to talk about actually creating the channel. So there's three parts to this: grounding your energy, clearing your energy, and then shielding your energy to create that clear channel. Okay? Ground, clear, shield. Ground, clear, shield. I always suggest that people do this to practice at least once in the morning. This only has to take 5 minutes. You don't have to spend an hour in meditation doing this, okay? I like to teach people to do this stuff so that they can like insert it into their day and go on with their day. Because I find that a lot of people I work with, especially in my mentorship program, they're doing really, really well, and then like something really chaotic kind of happens in their life, or they get thrown off or distracted, and then they fall off this energy hygiene wagon, right? If we're doing it in a way that we can just quickly apply and implement into our routine, we're much less likely to not do it. So ground, clear, shield. First, we're going to talk about grounding. Grounding is like the most important practice in my whole life. Because I'm constantly channeling from the higher chakras, it's so important for me to bring that energy down to the lower chakras and ground it into this reality, into this existence. So there are different ways that we can ground. Obviously, the most, I think, utilized way is bare feet on the earth, right? You can use grounding mats as well. I'm sitting on a grounding mat now. I have one in my bedroom on my bed. They're not expensive, and they work. So what I do most often though is I set the intention to connect in with the energy of Gaia. That is the most grounding energy and consciousness that you can connect to from this reality, is to connect into that energy. And keep in mind that as we move forward, I am going to go through a guided meditation of all of this and how it looks in action. Okay, guys? Breath work is very, very grounding, particularly because the lungs stimulate the vagus nerve, which is directly connected to the nervous system. And when your nervous system is activated, you're not grounded. You're not in that grounded energy. Earthing and connecting with nature. We talked about visualization. So if I can't get outside, like I live in a climate where there's winter and I'm not about to put my feet in the snow. Sometimes it's too cold to go out and hug a tree, although I've done it. It's just I don't want to be cold. I don't like being cold. My guides are laughing at me. It's true. I don't like it. They're like, you're not really cold. You just have this perception that you're cold and it's created in the like this is what they're telling me now. I'm like, okay, guys, shh, over here. We're doing something here. They're laughing at me. Visualization. So when I begin this process of clearing my channel, I breathe in and I set the intention to I connect in with the grounding energy of Gaia. And I imagine like roots growing through my body, down through my feet, and connecting into the earth. There's a ton of different ways that you can visualize this. Remember that you're the creator of your own reality. So if you ground by putting on a clown suit and eating a banana, then that's what you should be visualizing. There is no wrong way to do this. Like, again, because I said you are the creator of your own reality. So if that's the way that you connect to Gaia's energy, then they're laughing at me. They like this analogy. No, it's not something I'm going to do. I feel like clowns are very ungrounding, but it proved the point. Um, okay. Sorry, guys. We have the peanut gallery saying some things today. We're gonna bring them in a little bit later. Just hang on. Another way to ground is movement, music, sound, creative expression like art, right? I really love adult coloring books. I'm almost like a little bit embarrassed to say that. I wasn't expecting to tell you guys that today, but I have a ton of adult coloring books, and it almost puts me, when I'm adult coloring in silence, it almost puts me in like theta meditative state. Like it really brings my energy to that grounded place. Another thing I like to really quickly mention about grounding is just to give you a sense of like what this grounded energy should feel like in your body. Have you ever like been in a really crowded place and had a really high energy conversation? It was, it's positive conversation, but you kind of leave and you're like, like your energy's just high almost. That's a really good sign that you're not grounded in this reality, that you need to bring that energy down through the higher chakras to the lower chakras and ground in. Okay. Clear your energy, setting intentions. We're going to keep hammering this point in. Your intentions are your laws. You are the lawmaker. You are the government. You are the president. You are the prime minister, whatever you want to call it, of your reality. So what you say goes, period. This is why I don't experience fear with dark energy, because I have deep conviction and knowing that when I say you can't touch me, you can't come in, you can't mess with me, that's what goes. That's how it works. And I really with some of you guys I've worked with one-on-one, some of you I haven't, but if you've worked one-on-one with me, you know that the most important thing that I teach is empowerment. I want you to be able to recognize that you don't need me to do this, that you have the equipment, you have the ability, you have the power, the divinity to do this on your own. I just have to let you know that you can do it. Not like, hey, you can do it, that, hey, you are actually capable of this. This is how it works. You set the intention and you have conviction behind that intention that you have set, and that's it. So clearing your field of anything, anyone that's not supporting you, clearing across all time, all space, all dimensions, and all versions of yourself, all lifetimes. What got me clearing across time, space, dimensions, lifetimes, versions of myself was there was this period of time a while back, I can't remember how long ago it was, where I would go in and clear my, do this practice of grounding, clearing, shielding. I would go in and scan my field for density. So that's energy that's not mine, right? That I want to release. And I kept feeling this persistent density in my field. It didn't feel like malevolent. It was just this density, and I couldn't. This went on for like a couple weeks. Every time I went in, I would feel this density, but it wasn't affecting my daily life. So I was kind of like, okay, I'm just whatever. I'm just gonna leave it. And after a couple of weeks, I really set the intention to tune into this energy and identify what it was. And it was trauma that my inner child was carrying. And that was a past version of me. And so what I started to do was clear across all the versions of me that live inside me. And this is what started to get me thinking about energy is not just the here and now, right? It's all these other experiences that could potentially be informing my energy field here and now. Um, Setting the intentions we talked about, unsupportive energy, you have to leave. I visualize how I want it to leave. Sometimes I banish it to a glass aquarium and I blast it with light. The sky's the limit. I want to hear your creative ways of how you're going to get rid of this unsupportive energy. I'm going to get you guys to put it in the chat when I stop the share. And it's not allowed to return ever. I also say it can't return to anyone connected to me ever because it can be sneaky. And then shielding, you can visualize a shield if you're very clairvoyant. You can physically create one with your hands or your body, or you can just create that shield with intentions alone. I state who is allowed through that shield. Only my spirit guides, energy of the highest light and God. You can also shield against specific things like psychic attack, mental energy. When my TikTok started going kind of crazy and I got all these new followers, what started to happen was I started to get a lot more negative comments. And it wasn't the negative comments that really bothered me, but it was this anxiety that I started experiencing. And what I realized was that I was absorbing the mental energy of those people, those negative comments through the energy of TikTok. Once I started, and I would clear it, but then it would come back. And I'd clear it and then it would come back. But then I started dealing with it in that shielding phase of no, this can't come through actually at all. It's not allowed to come through. Okay, so when to do this? Of course, because of this workshop, we do it when we sit down to connect with our guides. You always want to have a clear channel before you do any of your spiritual work where you're seeking guidance, right? Where you're seeking connection. Also, listen to your intuition. If you're feeling anxious and you're not normally feeling anxious, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling heavy, if you're feeling like you're up here in the higher chakras, then do this practice. You don't just have to do it when you're sitting down to connect with your guides. This is like remedial energy work. This is your energy work 101 tool that you can go now and just use. And it's going to change your life. If you do not have a regular energy practice and you start doing this, you are going to notice a shift. Also think about where have you been? Who or what have you been interacting with? I love true crime and serial killers, guys. It is a guilty pleasure of mine, but I need to clear my energy after all that darkness. I have to. It is too much. And it's funny because as I've moved through my own ascension over the last probably like 5 years, there's certain stuff I just can't watch anymore. It's too dense. So I'm like slowly going, yeah, that's a little bit too much. Like the really gory, I'm like, no, I can't do it. Um, Also social media. If I catch myself doom scrolling, which I do, like my For You page is chickens because I have chickens on my property. So it's all the chicken homesteady stuff, all the alien conspiracy theory stuff, and clean talk. I freaking love clean talk. I'm obsessed. It gives me motivation to clean my house. But when I catch myself in that scroll, that doom scroll, I gotta stop and I gotta do this practice. I have to clear all that. I'm absorbing through every single video I scroll through. We are so subtly, but so profoundly affected by the energy around us, and we have almost no idea. And one of my jobs here is to bring attention and awareness to this so we can start interacting with the energy around us in supportive, meaningful, productive ways instead of allowing it to hold us back and hold us hostage in a lot of ways. Also, a lot of my 3D family. I need to clear and do the whole deal before and after spending time with my God bless them 3D family who they want to talk about Trump and they want to talk about foreign policy and tariffs and ugh, like it's just so much for me. And if you're interested in that, that's cool, but you're also here at this workshop, so that's something. That's something, guys. Okay? Um, okay. So although this is what the workshop is about, calling your guides forward, the most important work that you are going to do in this process is everything we just talked about, which is taking care of your energy to create the channel. There's so many people who walk around bogged down by decades, if not lifetimes, of energetic density. And then they're like, I'm just going to sit down and call forward my guides. And then it doesn't work. And then they're frustrated. And this is why, is because we don't have an energy practice. So the most important thing you can do, everything else after creating that clear channel is gravy. I promise you. So when won't this work? So we do the clearing, we create this, we do the ground clear shield, we create this really nice clear channel, but it's not working. And this is what's going to happen. It's going to happen to at least half of you in the room. You're going to go and try this on your own, and you're not going to get the results that you want. Now, this is why I put this part into the workshop. When you have expectations of what the experience should be like, when you sit down to connect with your guides, you are limiting your experience. You're blocking yourself. You're basically saying to the universe, I know better about what my experience with my guides should be. And so you're blocking that universal flow of energy to come through. I hear a lot of people going, I can't hear them. I try, but I can't hear them. Clairaudience telepathy is a high level psychic skill. We all have the capability of telepathy, but generally speaking, it comes on slowly. So to not hear your guides, to not hear them talking in sentences right away, to me, that's pretty normal. Um, When you set an expectation of, I need to hear my guides, and that's what the expectation is when I sit down to connect with them, you're basically blocking a plethora of other beautiful experiences that you could potentially be having with your guides. You could experience them visually. You could experience them claircognizantly or energetically feeling their love in your heart center. You could experience downloads. But if you're just looking to hear, if you're just looking to see, if you're looking for very specific information and not opening yourself up to hearing maybe what you need to hear most, which might not be what you want to hear most, then you're blocking yourself. This has been an ongoing frustration for me, but I have just learned that if I surrender to this process of this back and forth between my guides, I'm going to receive the guidance that I need. It just might not be when and where and exactly how I want to receive it. Also believing you can't. So we all have the equipment to connect directly with our spirit guide teams. We have the energetic equipment and we have the physical equipment to do it. The reason that I am able to do it to the extent that I'm able to is because I came into this lifetime intentionally with those parts of my DNA already activated. Because I came here to play this role of the seer, of the guide, right? That's the only difference. You have the same DNA that I do. It's just not activated in the same way, but it will be. I actually channeled a message today that I put on my TikTok from the Galactic Federation. They're talking about all of our past life memories are going to be activated through the DNA this year. And then your shadow work. This is your trauma. These are your 3D hangups. If you are not actively working on your healing and you want to sit down and talk to your guides, it's probably not going to happen. You have to actively be in a place and in a space, and I believe that if you're here at this workshop, you probably are, where you are truly intentionally working on removing the layers of density that you came here to remove, right? We all came here to transmute the density of the collective so that we could move through the ascension. So there's a small group of people on my social media that are constantly telling me that they're really frustrated because they can't connect and this and that. And I can intuitively feel that they're not working on themselves. And this is the source of their inability to receive direct communication with their guidance teams. It doesn't mean that you have to be totally clear and totally healed. None of us are, not even me. It's the intention of working on your healing that creates this energetic momentum forward that sends a message out to the universe that says, I am open to receive guidance because I want to transform. So you can be as general or be as specific as you feel called to be when you're setting intentions to call your guides forward. If you're just starting out with this, my suggestion is to be as general as you possibly can, because this goes back to creating expectations, right, around what it is that we receive or what it is that we experience when we sit down with our guides. So, what are some of the things that we can ask for? So, one really great general way to connect is, what do I need to know the most right now? Show me what that is. What is that guidance? And then show me the answers in a way that I will understand best. I work one-on-one and I have a mentorship program where I connect into your individual gifts. Some of you are extremely clairvoyant, but trying to hear your guides. And it's going to take you years to develop that clairaudience. But your guides are constantly sending you clairvoyant messages, but you're blocking them because the expectation is that you hear, right? So setting the intention that whatever way, because your guides know what way you're going to receive best, most directly, most clearly. They know what your gifts are. Show me the answer in a way that I will understand best. It's not just necessarily going to be hearing or seeing. A lot of you guys are really claircognizant and that intuition, and then the download of whatever guidance you're needing as well can come through. You can also ask, who am I connecting with? If you want to be really general and don't call forward a specific guide or guide collective, you can ask and ask to feel, see, or hear who it is that's coming through. You can get more specific, right? And ask where, what, how questions. I would start out with one question at a time. What is it exactly? And sit with the energy of that answer. Resonate. What's the word I'm looking for? Marinate. Marinate in that energy. I'm very pleased with myself that I came up with that word. Okay. Marinate in that energy. Um, that's what you want to be doing. Hang on one second. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to call my guides forward really quickly and see if they have anything they want to add here. We're going to go through our guided meditation in a second. Okay. So I'm going to stop the share for now. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to spotlight myself just for the purposes of people who are purchasing this workshop later. Um, okay, so the guides are we just went through like a lot of kind of like technically kind of stuff, right? That we're talking about when we're doing this process. This process, look at it as natural. You know how to do this. You just forgot. That's what your guides are saying. There is no right or wrong way to connect. There truly isn't. And if you believe there is, then you're blocking some part of that experience for yourself. There are no right words, there are no wrong words. If you do it wrong, then it's probably because you needed to learn something about the process in order to do it right the next time. That's my experience. Like not shielding from certain energy and then having an icky experience that, you didn't want to have. Um, the guides are saying that they feel a lot of, I'm trying to put words to this energy. They're making me feel what they're feeling from the collective here. It's almost like an anxiety, like I'm not going to be able to do this. This feels like too hard. Guys, this is what I've just outlined for you guys is not hard. Think about it. Setting some intentions, connecting in, grounding, what you're actually afraid of is not being able to do it, of it not working. And what I'm going to tell you right now is that it will work. Your guides hear everything that you think. They feel everything that you feel. They receive every message, every prayer. They don't miss one. So know that as you are sitting there in silence and you're not seeing something and you're not feeling something and you're not hearing something, they are right there with you. I guarantee it. That is how it works. They are always with you. It's just about breaking through the veil. And this is a process that has time and time again, I've gone back to that I've just presented to you and tweaked and edited and evolved and, through my own experience that is simple and will work. The other thing that they are saying is that giving yourself time to do this practice. So, this is specifically for when you're calling the guides forward for guidance for yourself, giving yourself ample time to sit in the energy, to sit in the silence, to sit in the stillness, to receive, rather than this 5 minute ground clear shield that you can do in the morning and at night. You definitely want to do this before you sit down with your guides, but you want to give yourself time. Um, I will sit down for like a quick connection and open my eyes and realize that like 45 minutes has passed because I'm like, they took me on a journey, they took me all over the place. Okay. So we're going to get to questions soon. I want to bring you through a very, very just brief, maybe 5, 10 minutes, guided meditation so that you can hear what this sounds like in my mind when I do it. But I'm going to do it for all of you guys. Okay. So firstly, I just want you all, if you want to participate in this, to set the intention to allow me to access your energy for your best and highest good. So giving me consent to do that. So I'm just going to ask you guys all to close your eyes and take some deep grounding breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, setting the intention to connect in with the grounding energy of Gaia. I like to envision light circling my auric field. I also like to envision roots growing out of my root chakra, out of my feet, connecting in and almost being hugged by Gaia's energy. If you can tune into your heart chakra, focus on what you feel in your heart center. What you will start to feel is Gaia's unconditional love for you. One of her primary roles is to keep you grounded in this experience so that you can do what you came here to do, so that you can learn what you came here to learn. So I clear our energy of anything or anyone who is not supporting our best and highest good. Clearing our energy mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally across all versions of ourselves, past, present, and future, and across all lifetimes, past, present, and future. Anything that is not supporting our best and highest good must leave us now. It does not have consent to be with us, and it does not have consent to return to us or anyone connected to us ever through all time, space, dimensions, and beyond. And I envision divine light circling my auric field and cleansing my field of any densities, any bumps, any bruises, any thickness, transmuting that energy from density to light, from dark to light, and anything that needs to be released, I send it up through my crown and back to Source. Source knows what to do with it. I don't like to send energy just anywhere. I know that God will take care of whatever is not for me. And I just keep imagining that light circling my auric field. And you will notice that you begin to feel clearer. You begin to feel lighter. Your heart begins to feel more open. I create a protective shield of divine light around us. Again, this protective energy. Notice what color it is. I tend to notice that it changes. I trust that my guides are helping support this process by sending through whatever color, whatever kind of energy is needed to help create this shield. I set the intention that only energy of the highest light, my spirit team and God are allowed through this shield, shielding all of us from mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional energy that is not ours, that does not belong to us, that is not supporting us. All psychic attack, all dark energy, anything that will not allow us to move into the next highest versions of ourselves. It cannot cross. Taking a couple more deep grounding breaths in, connecting into the grounding energy of Gaia, grounding all this new, lighter energy into the reality that we are currently experiencing. And so it is. All right. Thank you all for allowing me to facilitate that for you. I'm going to stop the recording now so that we can get to the Q&A. Before I do that, I just want to briefly mention that you can also call your guides forward to support in the grounding, clearing, shielding process. However, know that you don't need them to do it. I find that we tend to get a little bit too reliant on external energy to keep us where we're at. And we're powerful, badass, spiritual warriors. We don't need that. They're laughing at me. They're like, well, you need us sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I guess. Anyways, I love each and every one of you guys so much, and happy ascension.